Hello, welcome to 8.9 News. I'm Ffinlo Costain. Hundreds of farmers across nearly 200,000 hectares have informed a scientific review of sustainability metrics for the Soil Association Exchange. I spoke to Beth Metson, the head of agricultural advice at the Exchange, and I started by asking her to explain what the Exchange is and how it works.
So the Soil Association Exchange is a new service for farmers, which is all about measuring and monitoring sustainability. Lots of different data collection happens, and we're very fortunate. We have a team of advisors, farm advisors and farm technicians as well, collecting primary data, listening to farmers and working out what best to do with those data insights that are coming through.
Now, you've just undertaken this review of the science protocol that underpins the Exchange, and it sounds like it's been a pretty enormous undertaking.
Yeah, it has. I mean, we've used these insights from the 500 farms we've seen, and we've worked through the feedback we've had from farmers, but also our advisors and technicians who are using our platform to really try and represent farms in the best possible way that we can do. So yeah, we've had a huge kind of facelift when it comes to our protocol. We've got the Science Advisory Board who have really helped us to look at the science behind the metrics, but also putting that practical element towards it as well. And like operationally wise, does it work for farmers in terms of things like seasonality and things like that? So it's had a massive upheaval and all for the better. It looks great now.
As a result of the review, the number of metrics used by the Exchange has nearly doubled, as I understand it. So what is it that you're measuring and what are the key themes?
Yeah, so we kind of call the main headings our 6 impact areas. So that can be anything from something like animal health and welfare, soils, healthy soils, carbon, and biodiversity. So we've got these 6 impact areas, and underneath each individual impact area, we've got a set of metrics that feed into those impact areas, which then gives you a score. And now newly part of the new protocol is now a benchmark. You can now base yourself looking back at the 500 farms we've got in the data set, which is much more insightful in terms of what we do with that score and how do I fit, like how do I sit with everybody else. So we have these impact areas and these metrics underneath those impact areas to just give you some examples. So under healthy soil, for example, we obviously measure things like soil organic matter, earthworm counts with a bit of contextual information behind that, which can be the age and the population of earthworms, just give, again, a bit more insight for our farmers and technicians and advisors to kind of really kind of put a practical element towards that. Biodiversity, we actually do plant surveys, flora surveys on our hedgerows and on our field margins, also in-field plant diversity as well, to really feed into that kind of robust, resilient food and farming system.
Are the metrics that you're collecting similar to those that are being used by other projects, such as the Global Farm Metric, for example?
Yeah, there's definitely similarities. I think the main thing we want to do when it comes to the Soil Association Exchange is not just be focused on one impact area. We want to bring in that holistic view. We want to give like a rich picture for farmers and give a different sort of data that we're not used to seeing for farms to really help be insightful and make good decisions. So yeah, we're outcome focused, very similar to the Global Farm Metric, and we try and be this like have a holistic approach where we're kind of looking at a full picture.
When you talk about there being a lot of metrics, is that something that farmers embrace, or do they tend to push back a bit against it?
Yeah, so it's kind of done in a really nice operational way in terms of that we put people on the farm, so we're there to help farmers to achieve a Soil Association Exchange. So we're not about lots and lots of data that comes onto the lap of the farmer and they're not sure what to do with it. We have people collecting the data on farm. Farmers go along and look at how that data is being collected, learn new skills when it comes to looking at things like biodiversity sampling, bird counts, plant counts, things like that, which is a fantastic asset when it comes to new ways of working on farm and collecting that data in the future for themselves as well, which would be fantastic. And then we also have this farm advisory team, which, like I say, they kind of really great at going along with the farmer and listening and helping them look at that exchange report and thinking like, what can I get out of that? So yeah, I think the impression we get and the feedback we're getting is the fact that farmers love the fact that we're looking at lots of different areas. So they might be underperforming in some areas, but doing really well in others. And that's the whole idea about bringing lots of different metrics to really showcase that farm and also point places where the improvements can be made.
When you go into the farmer dashboard, you can see your score across each theme. Are you also able to benchmark yourself against other farmers?
Yeah, that's a new feature that's coming in the next 6 weeks, which that's been part of the farmer feedback, that they really want to be able to benchmark and see how they're performing in their region against enterprises similar to them. And that is, like I say, that's coming imminently onto the platform, which is being worked on at the moment. And it's, from the peaks we've had, it looks great. And I think it's really, really insightful going forward.
Now, through the exchange, the Soil Association is reaching out beyond the organic movement. So what are the key benefits for farmers in using the site?
Re-emphasize that the Soil Association is known for its certification. Obviously, its charity has worked with lots of different farms, all different systems, and that's very much what the exchange is doing here. Like, we're working with all farmers, not just organic but conventional as well, and actually predominantly we're seeing conventional farmers coming through our corporate partners, which is the fact that we're outcome focused is designed for us to be for all farmers. It's whatever farming system you've got, we're interested in the outcomes. We're interested in what does that actually mean on the ground. What are we actually seeing? What biodiversity are we improving? How's your animal health and welfare on the ground? We're not necessarily interested in a set of standards necessarily when it comes to exchange. We're interested in what's actually doing.
Obviously, there's a lot of work involved when farmers take part in the exchange. Is there a financial benefit, a sort of market-facing benefit in doing so?
Yeah, there is a real investment of time and effort when it comes to the data collection, for sure. And we get this really great data insights, essentially, that then informs decisions. And it's a baseline at the end of the day when you do your first round of data collection. And from there, the benefit will be when you next do your next data collection, you can see what was the direction of travel. Our new feature that we've put into place in the platform is our funding tool, which essentially helps the farmers that are going through exchange and the ones who are being sponsored by our partners to actually look at what those recommendations were that came through the advisory team and what funding is available to actually help incentivize some of that approach. So there is that new feature on the platform now.
Do you expect farmers to use some of this information to be able to take advantage of natural capital markets?
I think there's definitely some opportunities for that type of funding, for sure. And I think there's opportunities that are rising all of the time. It's a really complex environment at the moment with lots of different changes, and that's part of the reason why exchange exists, to try and cut through some of the difficulty when it's trying to find what's appropriate for me. And I think that's sometimes really difficult in farming funding at the moment, with the changes from BPS to the ELMS, and then there's obviously these new private opportunities as well. And I think part of what the advisory team are trying to do is kind of say, look, you've got opportunities in these particular areas. These are the things we would suggest you get involved with, or not actually. And actually, let's go for SFI over some of these other options that you've got. So it's trying to put this really nice bespoke feel against it, using these data insights that we're collecting on the farm.
And where does the data come from for each farm's results? Are you using proxies and satellite info, or is it all data that's actually collected on the farm itself?
Yeah, the majority of the data we're using is both from the farm technicians, the primary data we're collecting, but also from the conversation and the survey questions we're doing with the farmer. But yes, we do use some other proxies and satellite imagery data to inform some of the other metrics, like carbon stocks and things like that. So we do use some, but predominantly it's primary data collection from the farm itself.
And just finally, Beth, is there a cost associated with signing up to the exchange?
So the majority of our farmers we've seen have been sponsored to go through the exchange through partners, banks and retailers, so Lloyds Bank, people like Riverford and Marks and Spencer. So there are, at the moment, all our farmers have been sponsored through corporate partners. We're absolutely getting more and more interest in farmers doing it for themselves and going through exchange without necessarily a corporate partner funding them.
And there is a free option as well, as I understand it.
There's like a light version of exchange, for sure, that farmers can sign up to and have a look at the platform. It's a great way to kind of figure out, is this something for me? And put your SBI number in. You get this great set of maps that you've got some great features on there now using UK Hab biodiversity features, which I think are really insightful on its own.
That was Beth Metson from the Soil Association Exchange. More news on our website, 8point9.com. That's all for now. We're back soon. Thanks for watching.